It's time for another Dashboard Confessional. I jumped on Instagram stories today. Honestly, I had no intention on filming a YouTube video today, but I posted this story set today about boundaries and forgiveness, and I got a lot of DMs. So, hey, I got like 20 minutes before I hit the gym. I figured let me hit the red record button and just spill the tea about these juicy topics. So let's talk about boundaries, because who doesn't love a dose of boundary talk? Who doesn't love it? So listen, I am not going to sugarcoat anything when it comes to this topic, just like any of the topics that I've done in this YouTube series. But let me tell you my journey with boundaries. And I'm going to be very vulnerable, very transparent, very honest here. Boundary work has been probably one of, if not the biggest, but one of the biggest lessons I have had to learn along my life's journey so far, because boundary work begs of me how I cannot betray myself anymore. Boundary work begs of me, how can I be my most authentic self, even if that triggers other people? Boundary work begs of me, how do I communicate my needs clearly and stick by them, even if that means a relationship has to shift or has to end? Boundary work has been so hard to do, but so freaking rewarding to do. Learning how to create boundaries and stick by boundaries has been such a healing journey for me, because in me setting boundaries with people, it has helped me regulate my nervous system, which has desperately needed that type of healing during the season of my life. So let's get into it. I have a couple of points that I want to try and drive home, but this is, as always, unscripted Melissa, just in her truck having a conversation about wisdom and topics that I have to confess have really been helpful along my journey. Because here's the thing, we as humans, we are not robots. We have feelings. We have free will. We make good decisions and we make bad decisions. And with that being said, boundaries can get crossed very, very easily with us and for us. And sometimes we cross boundaries not even realizing it. But what I actually have seen in my relationships, friendships and beyond, is that when I'm not clear on what my boundaries are, it is a recipe for a disaster. And when the other person that I'm in a relationship with, they don't know what their boundaries are, that's a recipe for disaster as well. And then before you know it, either party is triggered, is resentful, and it becomes a vicious cycle. So sometimes just realizing what your boundaries are can be the key to the clarity that you need so your relationship or your friendship can thrive and can grow how it's meant to, right? So let's just talk about what boundaries are. And I always liken boundaries to a property line, to a fence line. It's this idea that your energy, what's important to you, your body, imagine it just like it's a piece of property, and you have a front door, you have a fence line, but not everybody is meant to cross your property line like it's public property, right? And not everybody is also meant to walk through the threshold that is your front door, right? Now, most of the time, people kind of understand because you have a fence up, right? Oh, okay, that's the start and that's the end of somebody's property. You as your property, like your house, right? it's pretty clear like where your property line begins and ends, right? But sometimes how we operate in the world, we're not clear. We put the energy out there like, yeah, like anybody can have access to me. Anybody can walk onto my property line. Anybody can ask me a million questions. Anybody can spend time with me. Are you exhausted all the time? Is your battery like drained all of the time? You might have a boundary problem. You might have an access problem. Too many people have access to your energy. So that's how I see boundaries and there's a couple of different layers, right? There's a couple of different dimensions to it. There's physical boundaries, there's emotional boundaries, there's time boundaries. There's so many different dimensions, right? So for you, if you're like triggered or you're pissed off at somebody, I would check yourself. What boundary did someone cross? Was a boundary crossed at all? And if it was crossed, what boundary was crossed? Because most of the time when, in my past, like when someone crossed a boundary, how I know that a boundary was crossed is I feel angry, I feel scared, and I don't feel safe. Like those three things happen with me. I feel angry, I feel scared, and I don't feel safe. And I have to backtrack. Okay, what happened here? Did I put out the energy that it's okay for anybody, like that it was okay for them to cross that boundary? Or this is sometimes what happens a lot too, is you're super clear with someone. Listen, this is what my fence line is. This is what's cool. This is like what's not cool. And they do it anyway. And they cross that line anyway, and they push through that threshold anyway, even when you communicated and you told them, no, that's like not aligned for me. Like that's not cool for me. So then what do you do, right? You've tried to establish a boundary with someone. You were super clear. This is my fence line. This is my doorway threshold. Like this is my line here. And they still cross it. What do you do? What do you do? And I feel like a lot of us normalize the crossing of boundaries. And guess what? It's our responsibility to communicate that boundary and that threshold was crossed. Because most of the time, people are aloof. People don't, oh, I didn't know that wasn't okay with you. It's your job to communicate right at the jump of a friendship, of a relationship, what those thresholds are, what those property lines are, what those fence lines are. So that person can't say, I didn't know that. You never told me that. Address it from the jump, from the get-go. This is what's okay for me. This is what's not okay. And these are my boundaries. Like these are my property lines and fence lines. And the beautiful part is that aligned relationships in your life, guess what? They're not only going to honor and respect it, their property line and their fence line too is going to be the same freaking thing. So you both can engage in this beautiful dance of honoring and respecting each other and what's important, what's cool, what's not cool. It's a beautiful thing. That's the easy part. What I want to talk about today is what has happened in my life and how I've handled me saying to somebody, okay, maybe I didn't do the best job communicating what's okay, what's not okay, but this is what's okay and what's not okay. And someone still crossing me. Someone still crossing the boundary line even after the fact. I was calm. I was clear in my communication, like what's okay and what's not okay. That's what I want to talk about. That's the juice that I want to talk about, because you can get stuck in this really vicious cycle when that happens. Because if you let someone cross the threshold and a boundary line and you just let them walk all over you like public property, there is something that happens subconsciously when you let somebody do that. The first thing that I think happens is we minimize our needs, which also fuels our low self-worth because we don't think our needs are worthy of being heard and honored and respected. And it also sends a signal to that other person crossing the threshold that it's okay. It normalizes behavior that goes against your values or what your needs are, right? So if, like, let's say today there was just a random person just hanging out on my front lawn. If I don't say anything to that stranger and that random person, guess what? They're going to think it's okay to just hang out on my front lawn. Like, it's our job to not normalize that type of behavior. Not them. It's our responsibility to do that. But it's so freaking hard to do that. It's so confronting to do that. Because if you're like a people pleaser and you don't like to confront and you don't want to like rock the boat too much, you don't handle confrontation or conflict well, you're going to avoid boundary work like the freaking Black Plague, because it begs of you to risk possible conflict and confrontation because you don't know how the other person's going to respond, right? But if you approach the person in a calm, respectful way and you're clear in your communication and they still don't respect and honor you after that fact, there is a bigger foundational misalignment there that you're going to have to address and you're going to have to speak to. And you're going to have to call it. Like, if this relationship or this friendship feels aligned for you, if they can't honor and respect your boundaries and your property line and your fence line. And the other thing I want to say about like boundaries is that boundaries are a way for people to continue their relationship with you. There have been so many times where I've had to say to people, like, listen, I'm creating this boundary with you. It's not because I don't love you. It's not because like I don't want to be in relationship or friendship with you. I'm giving you these boundaries because I want to maintain this relationship. I'm giving you these boundaries because I want to maintain a connection with you. But in order for me to do that in a way that's healthy for me and for me to like not self-sabotage, we're going to have to kind of play by this property line, because just like in real estate, right? Just like in real life, you know, property fences and lines, they don't create distance, they create clarity. But the other person has to like honor that value and that reality and that fact as well. Like, oh, Melissa's doing this not because she hates me, not because she doesn't want to be in a relationship or friendship with me. She's doing this because she does want this. And in order for me to stay connected to Melissa, or in this instance to you, that person is going to have to be willing to put in that work to be able to honor your needs. And guess what? If they can't do that, that's okay. That's okay. But it doesn't mean that it's aligned for you then, right? So that's what I wanted to say about boundaries in general. Like, boundaries are how you teach people where your lines are, where your property line is. So in your friendships or in your relationships, if you feel unsafe, you feel angry, you feel scared, or just maybe not satisfied either, look at your freaking property line. Look at your boundaries. Where have you said yes when you should have said no? And you need to like take a hard look at this stuff, because most of the time I'm like, oh, I really let that slide way too many times. And then before you know it, I feel like resentful in the relationship. I feel unsafe in the relationship. And it's like, because they crossed so many boundaries. And I knew that it was happening, but I just didn't want to confront it, because it's just like, I hate confrontation. You know, it's like, it's so hard to do, but the cost of not confronting and honoring your boundaries is so much more expensive than dealing with it in the first place. Because when you let things slide, it is like freaking cement. The longer you wait, the more it hardens. It is easier to leave a relationship or a friendship the first time. It is so much easier because let me tell you, that shit hardens like cement, and it gets harder and harder and harder to say no. It gets harder and harder and harder to walk away. And it gets harder and harder and harder to have a conversation because you've let things slide and normalize for so long. Don't let the cement harden. Please, for the love of God, take it from me. I have let so many things harden over time when it would have been so much easier and healthier and better on my nervous system if I just cut shit from the jump. You cannot make excuses anymore. You have to honor your fence line and you have to honor your boundaries. The next point I want to make is about the F word, and it's not what you think. The F word is forgiveness, because when we're in relationships with people and they do cross us and they do cross a boundary and they do make a mistake, you're at this pivot point. You're at this fork in the road where you have to decide, do I forgive this person? Do I not forgive this person? Do I want to stay in a relationship or friendship with them? Do I not want to do that? Like, what do I do? And I want to speak to one of like the biggest misunderstandings when it comes to forgiveness. And it's this idea that if you forgive somebody, you have to maintain that relationship or you have to allow them back into your life. And I call BS on that. I don't think that's true. You can forgive somebody for your own peace. You can forgive somebody not to release and free that other person. I always say, like, that's like freeing that other person. That's not a me job. That's a God job. That's on God to deal with them and to free them from what it is that they did to hurt another person and hurt me. But I can forgive somebody just like you can forgive somebody for your own peace. You can do that to free yourself from the burden of anger, from the burden of resentment. You can forgive somebody while also still deciding that they don't have access to you and to your energy or to your inner circle anymore. I really think that forgiveness can help heal your heart and boundaries can help protect your future. Ooh, that's good. That's really good. Forgiveness heals the heart, but boundaries protect your future. And think of it like this. I'm trying to think of a good analogy. Like, let's say you can forgive somebody for damaging your house, right? But that doesn't mean you give them the spare key anymore. Clock that. Did you catch that? Right? So you have to decide, like, what someone is worthy of in terms of access to you from now on, because when you forgive somebody, that's speaking to the past, right? When you choose forgiveness, that's about releasing the past, something that has already happened. But boundaries speaks to the future, the present moment and the future. Boundaries are a way for you to protect the future you, the future of that relationship, right? So there's a time and a space for forgiveness because we have to reconcile what has happened. We have to acknowledge and reconcile the past, right? But choosing the boundaries that serve you best, that protects you, the relationship. It's so valuable and it's so important. And just because you choose to forgive somebody and acknowledge that they messed up, and you could see how they got there, you're acknowledging their humanity as well as yours. And also, you can choose you. You can also choose to not be in a relationship with that person. And that doesn't mean you're resentful. And that doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means that you're choosing you. And if there's one thing that I've learned when it comes to navigating all this relationship stuff, right, is that two truths can be true at the same time. You know, we get stuck in this black and white thinking that, oh, well, if I forgive him or her, then that means that I have to be in relationship with them, or we have to, you know, go back to what was. That's not necessarily true. Two truths can be true at the same time. I can forgive you and love you from a distance and also choose myself and also choose like not to be in relationship with you anymore. You know, like, yeah, like if I see you out, I will say hi, I will be cordial, I will be calm and kind. But that doesn't mean I want you to break bread with me in my inner circle and be in my energy again. No. Right? If you've damaged this house, why would I give you the spare key again and again and again? Who looks like the idiot? I do, because that means that I'm not respecting the value of my home. I'm not respecting the value of who I am and myself. Does that make sense? So you have to check it. You have to clock this and you have to check this. And remember, forgiveness is about freeing yourself, not for freeing the other person or normalizing the behavior of the other person. It's for you. And whether you choose to forgive or not, that's on you and what will serve you best and your energy best. But I know for damn sure, reconcile the past with whether or not you want to forgive. But if you really want to look towards building a better future for yourself, boundaries for sure are the way for you to do that. And the last thing that I want to say about boundaries is sticking to my boundaries has really helped me heal. I really want you to understand something about, and I've said this in previous videos too, the impact that my life journey and my life experiences and relationships have had on my physical health. I really believe that the body keeps the score. Let me tell you. And I'm still healing and I'm still trying to heal. My body is taking the long route to healing. Like my mind is there and my emotions are there, but my body is still in fight or flight mode from years ago. Still. Even though like I'm trying so intentionally and so hard to like go to the gym and take care of my body and move through this healing somatically and like through the body, it has taken a toll. It has taken a toll. In so many ways, like from my thyroid to my stomach to now literally my heart. Like I had to recently see a cardiologist. And I have to like be very, very clear here with you that boundary work, it's not just psychological or emotional. It's also like a biological thing. And when you, just like I've done, when we repeatedly normalize and tolerate behavior that is unsafe, that feels disrespectful, that feels draining, your body will stay in fight, flight, or freeze mode for a very long period of time. You will have sustained levels of adrenaline and cortisol in your body. And that's like the most recent thing with my heart is that there is a misfiring going on in my body still. And that is the cost. There's no other explanation for it, folks. That is the cost of my body thinking it's in fight, flight, or freeze mode, even though my environment now isn't that. But my body and my brain need to like catch up. But when you set boundaries and you create a life of safety for yourself, and that's why I think over time my body will heal. It just needs to like learn now that I'm safe. I can protect myself. I don't have to tolerate just anything anymore. And over time, I think that's going to help heal my body. And over time, that will also rebuild self-trust again. Because when you give your power away for such a sustained period of time in friendships or relationships, you kind of learn to like not trust your judgment and not trust yourself anymore. And so part of my healing journey is learning how to trust myself again, because there have also been instances where I thought seemingly a situation was one way and a relationship was one way, and it turns out it wasn't. So my sense of reality for a while was kind of disoriented. And so right now I'm really just trying to get back to a place of safety, which I've spoken about in my other videos too. Like, this is so important to me, so important to me. And like, boundaries are a way for me to create that for myself, whether it's a relationship or a friendship or a business partnership. Like, how can I clearly communicate my boundaries, what's okay, what's not okay, and friggin' stick to them? Because listen, there is a cost. There is a physical cost besides emotional. There's a physical cost that will happen if you like betray yourself and you don't honor your needs. I am living proof of what will happen and what can happen when you choose not to do that. And I'm paying the price for it now. Years later, I'm paying the price for it. But I am hopeful that I will heal and my body will heal itself, because our brains and our bodies are amazing. It has amazing capacity for resilience and healing. But I am still paying the tuition on it, and I probably will for quite some time. But I know that boundaries are a way to help your nervous system. I know that for a fact, because I get these little glimmers of hope where I actually can drop my shoulders. I actually can feel safe and remind myself that that was then and this is now. And there's no bear chasing me. There's no tiger chasing me. Even though my brain thinks that there is, there isn't. And you know what's like really hard too is that the people that have hurt me and betrayed me, the sticky part in forgiving somebody that literally warped my sense of reality is that I feel like I'm left with the wound of it all. You know, I feel like I'm left with the reverberations. I'm left with the wounds and the scars because of what somebody else did. But I'm still choosing to forgive them, because that focus of resentment and anger, all of that energy, that person doesn't deserve even that from me. I need to, just like you need to, give it back to ourselves. I need to give that back to myself, because I need every ounce, every drop of love that I have left, and to give it back to me. And of course, give it to the worthy people in my life as well. But like, I have to learn how to, and I'm still continuing to learn how to create that sense of safety and trust within myself, so that no matter what comes across my table, friendship, relationship, whatever it is, whatever ship it is, I'm not going to be rocked anymore. I can learn how to stick to my boundaries so I don't get to a place of like self-betrayal or resentment. So I can have people in my life that not only honor my boundary line, my property line, my fence line, my doorway, my thresholds, all these things, but like their house is the same kind of deal. And so when I go over to their property line, oh, same. You know, it's like I'm so embracing and loving the alignment of relationships in my life right now. But I know it has come at a cost, and a hefty one. And if there's anything that I can do to help you not pay the heavy tuition that I have paid, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And once again, in me providing medicine and like helping you figure out this stuff to bypass the heartache, the physical health issues, like it gives so much meaning and peace to me because listen, I have not gone into details about things that have happened and I don't think I need to, but can you just trust your girl when I say that I have been through some stuff, and if there's anything that will help me heal from it, it's to help give medicine and help other people not repeat the same things. Or if you're in the same like sticky situations, to give you hope and inspiration that like you're going to be good. You're going to make it through because I am. And if there's anything that I can do to cheer you on and support you, like I am here for you. And I have to end this video with one really cool story. So I went to a local show, seeing one of my favorite cover bands who some of my friends are in. And so it was like in a bar situation. And I had this sweet earth angel come up to me in the middle of this live rock show set saying, I know you, Unful Mama. I've watched you for so long. I'm so proud of you. It just like brings tears to my eyes because just when you don't think your voice matters and like your story matters, that conversation reinvigorated me so much. In the middle of this rock show, she's like, I love you. I see you. Like, you're such an inspiration to me. And like, don't ever stop. Like, don't ever stop talking about this stuff. Don't ever stop telling your story because I know I need to do hard things and I need to make hard decisions. And I know that when the time comes, I'm going to be okay because I've seen what you did. And this is why I'm recording this video in my truck before I go into the gym. This is why I will post these clips on social media. This is why I will not shut up about this, because all it takes is one person to have their life changed based on something that we say. And I want to encourage you, share your story because there's someone out there that needs to hear it too. And I know this is like uncomfortable. It's not easy to be vulnerable. It's not easy to talk to a camera. It's not easy to do this at all. Like my heart is racing the whole time as I'm doing this. But all I think about is that one sweet soul that was impacted by this. And if this video was just for her, then this video is just for her. So hopefully this convicted you, this inspired you, this supported you today, because boundary work, listen, it's not easy, but it's so freaking worth it. And as always, like relationships are your biggest spiritual teacher in your lifetime. If you can learn to just lean into it, there is so much growth that can happen if you learn to lean into them with deep intention. And remember, no is a complete sentence. Boundaries are a way for you to maintain a connection with somebody. And it's okay to forgive someone, but also choose to not be in relationship with them. So hopefully this Dashboard Confessional about boundaries, forgiveness, and healing was helpful along your journey. I can't wait for the next one. I'll see you soon.